Hey, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm actually going to be showing you how you mix Will8, because right now this is like a huge aspect of my life. And I am on my period, TMI, I know, but honestly, as a woman who has a bleeding disorder, my periods get really brutal some days, and definitely since having my second son and then having this bulging disc in my tailbone, it's definitely been making things worse. So I'm really grateful to be able to have the Factor. So today I'm going to show you guys how to, one, take apart the kit, and two, how to put it all together. And then I'm going to get off and give myself some Factor. So I have 3 boxes. Only need 1. Now, when you get your Will8, it's always going to come to you in a refrigerated setting, just because you are dealing with a human product. Factor, from my understanding, is basically platelets that they pull from people who donate blood. So you are helping me. And then it is basically filtered down and mixed all about. Now, inside of each box, you're going to get 2 of your alcohol wipes. Like with any medication, an instruction booklet that breaks down what the medication is, how it functions, what you can do and can't do with it, and how all of this kind of works. So probably in a later video, I'll go through some of these things because it's actually pretty cool. Okay, so I let my Factor sit out for the past hour and a half, like 90 minutes, right? Which is perfect, because if it's too cold, it's not going to mix properly, and then it's just going to be a hassle, right? So inside each kit, you're going to get 1 syringe. You're going to be getting your vial mix. It is very important when you're taking off the caps that you keep them together. It creates a really nice vacuum seal, and then it mixes it that way. So you're going to be taking your saline solution and mixing it into there. And then each kit does come with a 25 gauge butterfly needle, or the kind that you can get, you know, what you would see when you go to get your blood drawn and stuff. These are like little kid IVs, which is perfect for somebody like me, because I have tiny veins. My veins like to roll, and you know, some of those bigger needles I feel like hurt more, so really like these a lot. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. First things first, we're gonna pop our tabs off. A lot of this I can recycle, some of it not so much, so I'm actually gonna start probably keeping a collection of these things to better help me. Now everything is sterile, so the first thing you do is take the blue part, put it here. This is, whoops, that was not supposed to happen, but that is our saline solution, okay? And then when you get up here, I don't know if you can see this or not, like there it is. And then there's a special little poker right there, same one that went through here. So this is vacuum seal. Everything is sealed up, so that's good. If you happen to come across any product where the seals have been tampered with, bitch, don't use it, because you don't know what you're going to be getting into. So next part, push down, and then look at that, it's just all mixed up in there. That's what that Factor looks like when it goes through. And then you just kind of lightly mix it. You don't want to shake it too much, because then you're going to destroy the proteins that are inside of here. And those are the proteins that I really need to help me clot. Now, since I'm going to be doing my transfusion, I'll probably be doing this with the other 2 too, and finish getting that ready so that when I get off the camera, I can just rock and roll with this stuff. Just because of the fact that I do feel a bit self-conscious about some of this stuff. I am very new to it. I've only recently been able to do some of these things. So I definitely want to make sure that, one, you have like a nice clean work area. You don't want to be making messes everywhere you go, because if you have to do this for yourself, and you don't have anybody to help you, you're going to want a clean environment. It's very important you do that. It's going to keep things sterile. It's going to keep things away. I'm doing this while my one son's at school and then the other one's upstairs sleeping, because I get really nervous whenever they are around. I'm just going to do this real quick. It's just simpler, and I have you here, and that way you can see it. Now, I like to keep these. These are pretty cool. You never have too many, especially, most importantly as well, I should bring up, if you miss, do not take the needle and put it back in there. In these kits, it's very nice because now I have at least 3. So that's 3 tries with each separate needle. I hate fishing. If you happen to fish, do not be afraid to call for help, because fishing is probably the worst thing to do. There are so many people I know who would rather sit there and let you fish, do whatever, and it's all it does is make things worse, because you're inflicting new bruises, and because you can't see them right away, your arm's gonna be sore, everything's gonna hurt more, and it's just gonna be a mess. But that's just me. Since having to deal with this stuff a little bit more, I'm definitely getting more particular about what I will and will not allow people to do. Because not all nurses or anybody that works in this kind of field has the best bedside manner. And that's part of the other reason why I decided to start sharing my story, sharing these things with it, because there's more bad than there are good. The average time to get diagnosed with this thing is years. When I was a kid, because my brother had the most issues with it, I was dragged in front of the Pittsburgh Blood Bank with my siblings. I was tested. I was always told that I had it, but because my type was not as bad as my brother's, I did not need the same kind of care that he did. And that was wrong. Because if I would have gotten the level of care that I got now, it would have really saved me. It probably would have saved me from worse injuries, would have saved me with recovery time, bounce back, all that stuff. Things really would have been different if I would have been able to have some of this. So I'm just going to carefully break the vacuum, just a little bit, not a lot, because I definitely want to keep these covered. But I don't need the solution going back into the bottle, if that makes sense. So that's the other reason why. And again, you just like lightly mix that up. Can you see that in the camera? Some of this is not like good. I'll get better about it next time. But anyway, so here it is. It's kind of frothy. What it feels like when I'm actually getting the product, best way I can describe it is when I have to deal with the pain in the bulging disc on my period right now, which is a lot of sharp, intense cramping. It's really sharp, very intense, very heavy right now. And the Wilate and the Amcar, they have to work together. Yesterday, my son decided to get super mad and take my Amcar and throw it because he likes playing with my bottles. And now I can't find it, and that's really, really fucking bad, because the medication by itself is not as effective. Okay? And what I mean by that, and this is something that I learned, and this was why it was also pretty cool yesterday, when I had my one friend who's more experienced in this field than I am, reached out to me about my story, about vulnerable events and all the things that I dealt with. Because people who have this at least Von Willebrand's, primarily get stymie. Stymie is not factor. It is something else. I forget off the top of my head, but basically you have to go in and you have to be tested. You have to sit there in the doctor's office for at least 3 to 4 hours. They got to constantly take blood. They got to check your levels to see if your body is responding to it in the way that it needs to. There's like only a handful of medications out there meant to really like deal with this type of thing. And when I take the Amcar and the Stymie, I can tell that it's basically like a Band-Aid. It's not working very well, but it does enough that it helps minimize things. It's the best way that I can describe it. It's just basically like a giant Band-Aid. I'm gonna take this and put this on my hand because right now, my hand and my wrist ain't looking too good right now because that Amcar, I ended up having to fish for this one vein. But anyway, so yeah, the best way I can describe it is each one by themselves functions differently. And then when they are put together, specifically the Willet and the Amcar for me, it holds the factor in place and it makes it work way more effectively. And the Amcar I have to take at least 3 times a day. I ended up having to take some a little bit sooner just because of everything that happened over the weekend. And when I moved, all I did was bend down to pick up my 7-month-old, and that's all it took. And I had the worst pain, and I knew I just needed my factor, so I ended up having to go down to the ER just so I can get some factor. And it was amazing. So, but I'm gonna let you guys go, and I'm gonna go give myself some factor now because I feel really self-conscious doing this on camera. But I just wanted to show you how you mix your factor when you get it. I'll probably do more videos on this. This is just my first one. So, again, I'll probably be talking a little bit more about this stuff, but if you're having heavy periods and you're a woman, you should go get that checked out. There are a lot of people who put up with certain levels of pain because you just get accustomed to it. It's normal and you don't think there's going to be fixing it. And then what makes it worse is the medical field and the people that are in it. And it's usually somebody that's an asshole that gives you a sour experience that is part of the reason why, or you've seen somebody in your family go through it and you yourself did not want to go through it. So then you kind of go through like a denial thing. Don't do that. There's no reason to be ashamed. I was ashamed for a really long time. It took almost bleeding to death after my second son that I really became more aggressive in pursuing this and finding out and getting better answers, because that was something I could not go through again, especially if I ever wanted to have any more children or even have it remotely be a conversation. That is actually what brought me to this point, was that I could not go through that again. The first time I had a really bad bleed where I was so pissed off, I went to a hematologist, was after I had my wisdom teeth surgically removed. I was bleeding, I was puking up the blood, and my dad brought me back in through the oral surgeon who did it. Now at the time he didn't know that I had the bleeding disorder, but because he said I was over the worst of it and it was fine, they just sent me home, even though I was still pretty heavily bleeding. I was so mad. I was so fucking mad. They just gave me pain medication and sent me home. Well, it is what it is now. I can't be mad forever, right? We can only look at the bright side. So hopefully by me sharing my story, if there's any similarities that you have, I hope it will make it easier for you to want to go seek treatment, because you're not alone. And I've been learning that, and it's been really nice to know that I'm not alone. So, but anyway, I'm going to let you go now and I'm going to go do this. Till next time, guys.